The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor of the Seoul penthouse, and Amaka Okafor watched 15 years of her life explode into 1,000 glittering pieces. Her fiancé, Jae-won, stood frozen in the doorway with guilt written all over his face and another woman's perfume clinging to his designer suit. He didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. "Amaka, don't be dramatic," he said, in that condescending tone she'd grown to hate. "It was just business entertainment. You know how clients expect to be treated in Korea." She stared at him, this Korean man she'd moved from Lagos to marry, this man she'd built a careful, respectable life with, and realized she'd been settling for scraps when she once had everything. Welcome to Black and Korean Chronicles. If you think this is about a woman finally leaving a cheater, you're only seeing half the story. Because exactly 15 years ago, Amaka made a choice that destroyed the purest love she'd ever known, and the Korean man she left behind never stopped waiting. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what's about to happen will prove that some loves don't die. They just learn patience, and the reunion coming will set your soul on fire. Let's dive in. 15 years earlier, Yonsei University's campus was alive with cherry blossoms and the chaos of final exams. Amaka had arrived in Seoul on a prestigious scholarship, a brilliant economics student from Lagos who'd beaten out thousands of Nigerian applicants. She was focused, driven, determined to make her family proud and return home with opportunities. What she hadn't planned on was Kang Min-jun. He'd literally crashed into her life, sprinting around the library corner and slamming into her so hard her textbooks went flying like confetti. "I'm so sorry," he'd gasped in accented English, his voice panicked. "I was running from my bodyguards." "Your what?" Amaka had snapped, gathering her economics notes with more attitude than necessary, her Nigerian accent sharp with irritation. "Never mind," he'd said quickly, dropping to his knees to help her. When their hands touched over the same textbook, something shifted in the air between them. "I'm Min-jun, and you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." Amaka had rolled her eyes. "I'm sure you say that to every girl you crash into." "Only the ones from Nigeria," he'd grinned, and despite herself, she'd laughed. She should have walked away. She'd heard the whispers about Kang Min-jun, the rebellious heir to Kang Industries, one of Korea's most powerful conglomerate families. Playboy, spoiled, trouble wrapped in expensive clothes. But when he looked at her like she was the only person who existed in his world, all her common sense evaporated. They were inseparable after that. Min-jun took her to street food vendors in Myeongdong that his security team hated, taught her Korean curse words that made her laugh until her stomach hurt, and looked at her like she was a miracle. He didn't care that she was Nigerian. He didn't care that his friends' parents whispered when they walked past. He didn't care that Korean society had very specific ideas about who the Kang heir should date. "Marry me," he'd said one night on Namsan Tower, Seoul glittering beneath them like scattered diamonds. They'd only been together 8 months, but it felt like forever. "After graduation, marry me. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care about their rules. I want you, Amaka Okafor from Lagos. Just you." Amaka had kissed him instead of answering, because in that moment, wrapped in his arms with Seoul at their feet, she could almost believe their love could survive reality. Almost. But then Chairman Kang found out. Min-jun's father had summoned her to his office in Gangnam like she was a problem to be solved. The old man hadn't yelled. That would have been easier. Instead, he'd been cold, calculated, pulling out a check with more zeros than Amaka's father made in 10 years. "You seem like an intelligent young woman," he'd said, in perfect English, sliding the check across his massive mahogany desk. "Intelligent enough to know this fantasy ends in disaster. My son needs to marry a Korean woman, someone who understands our culture, our business world, our expectations." "I love him," Amaka had said, her Nigerian pride keeping her spine straight even as her heart cracked. "Love," Chairman Kang had smiled, and it was the cruelest expression Amaka had ever witnessed. "Love doesn't stop immigration from questioning your visa. Love doesn't protect your family in Lagos when business connections suddenly dry up. Love doesn't prevent my board members from destroying my son's future for choosing a foreigner over duty." He'd pushed the check closer. "Take it, go home, build a respectable life, and let my son build his. Let's dive in." Amaka had looked at that check, at her trembling hands, and thought about her parents in Lagos who'd sacrificed everything for her education. Thought about her younger siblings counting on her success. Thought about Min-jun's world of corporate politics and centuries of Korean tradition she'd never truly be part of. Thought about the whispers that followed them, the articles already calling her a gold digger trying to trap a Chaebol heir. She took the check. She'd left Korea without saying goodbye, blocking Min-jun's number, deleting every photo, every message, every proof that Kang Min-jun had once loved her like she was his entire world. She transferred to Columbia University in New York, used the money to secure her family's future, and tried to forget the man who'd made her believe in impossible things. But Min-jun hadn't forgotten. While Amaka built a successful career in international finance, Min-jun built an empire. While she dated safe, appropriate men who never made her heart race, he stayed single, refusing every matchmaking attempt his family orchestrated. While she tried desperately to move on, he waited. 15 years. He waited 15 years. And now, standing in her Seoul penthouse with her broken engagement scattered at her feet, Amaka's phone buzzed. An unknown Korean number. She almost ignored it, but something, some buried instinct, made her answer. "Amaka?" The voice was deeper, rougher than she remembered, but it stopped her heart just the same. "I'm sorry. Min-jun," she whispered, her hand flying to her chest. "How did you know?" "I've always known everything," he said simply. "Where you were, who you were with. Every promotion, every relationship. That didn't work. I've been waiting, Amaka. Waiting for you to be ready." "Ready for what?" she asked, even though her heart already knew the answer. "To come back to me," Min-jun said. "I'm downstairs, Amaka. I'm standing in front of your building right now. And I need you to decide if the last 15 years were a mistake we made or a lesson we had to learn. Because I'm done waiting patiently. I'm done pretending I can love anyone else. I want you. I've always wanted you, and I'm not letting you run away again." Amaka walked to her floor-to-ceiling windows, looked down 40 stories, and there he was. Kang Min-jun, now the CEO of Kang Industries, standing beside a black Genesis SUV in a suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent, looking up at her building like he could see through steel and glass straight to her soul. "Why now?" she asked, her voice breaking. "After 15 years, why now?" "Because my father died 6 months ago," Min-jun said, his voice raw with emotion. "And his last words were that he was wrong. Wrong about you, wrong about us, wrong about everything." He paused. Because I'm 37 years old, Amaka. I've built everything he wanted me to build. I've proven everything he demanded I prove. And none of it means anything without you. Because I've dated 100 women trying to forget you, and every single one of them failed. Because you're my person, and I'm tired of pretending you're not. Amaka's hand moved to her door before she consciously decided to move. Don't come down yet, Min-jun said quickly. If you walk out that door, everything changes. Your safe life with safe men who don't challenge you. Your careful boundaries. The walls you've built to protect yourself from feeling what we felt. I'm not safe, Amaka. I'm demanding and intense, and I will turn your world upside down. But I will love you the way you deserve to be loved, so I need you to be absolutely sure. I've been sure since the day I left Seoul, Amaka whispered, tears streaming down her face. I've just been too scared to admit it. Then, come down, Min-jun said softly. Come down and let me show you what 15 years of loving you looks like. Amaka grabbed her coat and ran. She didn't think about Jae-won still standing shocked in her living room. She didn't think about her job or her carefully constructed New York life, or anything except the man who'd never stopped loving her. The elevator took forever. When the doors finally opened to the lobby, Min-jun was standing there, and Amaka forgot how to breathe. He was taller than she remembered, his shoulders broader, with distinguished silver threading through his black hair. His face had harder angles now, the softness of youth replaced by the sharp edges of a man who'd fought battles and won. But his eyes were exactly the same. Dark, intense, and looking at her like she was everything. Amaka, he breathed. She launched herself at him. She crashed into his chest so hard they both stumbled backward, and his arms came around her like coming home after 15 years of being lost. He smelled like expensive cologne, and underneath it, something that was purely him, purely Min-jun. She buried her face in his chest and let herself break apart. I'm sorry, she sobbed against his designer shirt. I'm so sorry. I should have been braver. I should have fought for us. Shh, he murmured into her natural hair, holding her so tight she could feel his heart pounding against hers. You chose survival. You chose your family. I was angry for years, but I understand now. We were young. The world was against us. You did what you had to do. You waited, she said, pulling back to look at his face, to touch his jaw, to prove he was real. Min-jun, 15 years. Why would you do that? Because what we had doesn't come twice in a lifetime, he said simply, cupping her face like she was made of precious glass. Because I've built hotels in 20 countries and closed billion-dollar deals, and none of it felt like winning because you weren't there to celebrate with me. Because I'm Kang Min-jun. I can have anything I want, and the only thing I've ever wanted is you, Amaka Okafor. That hasn't changed. That will never change. He kissed her then, and 15 years dissolved in an instant. She was 22 again, on Namsan Tower, believing in forever. Except now, forever was possible. Now his father was gone. Now they were both free. When they finally pulled apart, Min-jun pressed his forehead to hers. Come back to Korea with me, not forever, just for 2 weeks. Let me show you what I've built. Let me prove we can work this time. Let me show you the life I want to give you. I have responsibilities, Amaka said weakly. A job, commitments. You have vacation days you've never used, Min-jun countered, his lips quirking into that devastating smile she remembered. And Amaka, I bought a majority stake in your investment firm 3 months ago. Technically, I'm your boss now. Consider this a mandatory company retreat." She jerked back. "You bought my company?" "I bought 12 companies over 15 years, he said unapologetically. "Every place you've ever worked, making sure you were protected, making sure you got promoted, making sure no one ever hurt you, even though I couldn't be there to do it. Call it obsession, call it love, call it whatever you want, but I never stopped taking care of you, Amaka. I never will." "That's insane," Amaka breathed, but her heart was soaring. "That's devotion," Min-jun corrected. "Now, pack a bag, my queen. We have 15 years to make up for." 24 hours later, Amaka found herself in Min-jun's private jet soaring over the Pacific, and she still couldn't believe this was real. The interior was all cream leather and polished wood, and Min-jun sat across from her, watching her like she might disappear if he blinked. His hand hadn't left hers since they boarded. "Tell me everything," he said softly. 15 years, Amaka. I want to know everything I missed." So she told him about Columbia University and the loneliness of New York winters, about her first job at a finance firm where she was the only Black woman in a sea of white faces, about sending money home to Lagos every month, watching her siblings graduate university because of the choice she'd made, about the men she dated who were nice and appropriate and made her feel absolutely nothing. "And Jae-won?" Min-jun asked, his jaw tightening. "Was safe," Amaka admitted. "He was Korean, yes, but westernized. His family approved of me because I had money, status, the right credentials. I thought that was enough. I thought I'd learned my lesson about loving someone too much." She squeezed his hand. "I was wrong. Safe isn't the same as happy." "He's an idiot for cheating on you," Min-jun said, "but I'm grateful, because his stupidity gave me my chance." The plane landed at Incheon at dawn, and Seoul spread beneath them like a city reborn. It was more modern than Amaka remembered, more glass and steel reaching for the sky. Min-jun's driver was waiting with that black Genesis, and soon they were gliding through streets Amaka had once known by heart. "Where are we going?" she asked as they passed Gangnam, the luxury district glittering in the morning sun. "Home," Min-jun said simply. Home turned out to be a penthouse in Hanam-dong, the most exclusive neighborhood in Seoul. The elevator required a fingerprint and retinal scan. When the doors opened directly into his apartment, Amaka's breath caught. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the Han River and Namsan Tower in the distance. Everything was clean lines and expensive minimalism, but there were touches of warmth, too. Nigerian art on the walls, a bookshelf filled with novels by African authors, a framed photo half hidden on a side table. Amaka walked over to it, her heart stopping. It was them, 15 years ago, laughing at some street food stall. She was wearing his jacket, looking up at him like he hung the moon. She didn't remember this photo being taken. "I kept everything," Min-jun said quietly, coming to stand behind her. "Every photo, every text message before you blocked me, every email you sent in those early days. I have them all saved in a vault. Sometimes, when business got brutal and I wanted to give up, I'd look at them and remember what I was building this empire for the day I could be worthy of you." "You were always worthy," Amaka whispered, turning to face him. "Min-jun, your father was wrong. I was the one who wasn't brave enough." "We were both young and scared," he said, tucking a lock behind her ear with such tenderness it made her ache. "But we're not young anymore, and I'm not scared of anything, except losing you again." He showed her to the guest room, gave her space to shower and rest, ever the gentleman. But when Amaka emerged hours later, jet-lagged and disoriented, she found him on the balcony, talking rapid Korean into his phone. He looked tense, his shoulders tight. When he saw her, his expression shifted immediately, softening. "Sorry," he said, hanging up. "Business crisis. Nothing I can't handle." "You run the entire company now," Amaka said, joining him at the railing. The Han River sparkled below. "That must be exhausting." "It's lonely," Min-jun admitted. "My father groomed me to take over, but he never taught me how to do it without becoming like him. Cold, calculating, treating people like chess pieces." He looked at her. "You made me human, Amaka. When you left, I had to remember how to be human on my own. It took years." That night, Min-jun took her to a private restaurant in Itaewon, the international district where they used to hide away from judgmental eyes. The owner greeted him like family, but Amaka noticed the looks they got from other diners. A Korean man with a black woman was more common now than 15 years ago, but the stares still came. Some curious, some disapproving. "Does it bother you?" Amaka asked, the staring. "Let them stare," Min-jun said, reaching across the table to take her hand. "I've spent 15 years caring what people think. I'm done. You're here. That's all that matters." But the real test came the next day. Min-jun's mother had requested a meeting. Correction, demanded a meeting. "You don't have to do this," Min-jun said as they drove to the Kang family estate in Pyeongchang-dong. "I can see her alone." "No," Amaka said, straightening her shoulders. She'd chosen an elegant navy dress, professional but beautiful, her locks styled up. The Kang estate was exactly as Amaka remembered. Traditional Hanok architecture mixed with modern luxury, surrounded by manicured gardens that probably cost more to maintain than most people's houses. Min-jun's mother was waiting in the main receiving room, elegant in a pale yellow hanbok, her face unreadable. "Amaka Okafor," she said in accented English, "you've returned." "Mrs. Kang," Amaka replied, bowing respectfully at the correct angle, remembering the etiquette she'd learned so long ago. "Sit," the older woman commanded. They sat. Tea was poured by a servant. The silence stretched like a knife. "My husband is dead," Mrs. Kang finally said. "Did Min-jun tell you?" "Yes," Amaka said quietly. "I'm sorry for your loss." "Are you?" Mrs. Kang's eyes were sharp. "He's the reason you left. The reason my son has been miserable for 15 years. I wonder if you celebrated when you heard." "Mother," Min-jun's voice was dangerous. "No," Amaka interrupted, meeting Mrs. Kang's gaze steadily. "I didn't celebrate. I mourned, because despite everything, he was your husband and Min-jun's father. And because his last words gave Min-jun permission to find me again, and for that, I'm grateful." Something flickered in Mrs. Kang's eyes. Surprise, maybe, or respect. "You've changed," she observed. "You're not the frightened girl who took my husband's money and ran." "I'm not," Amaka agreed. "I'm a woman who made a hard choice to protect the people she loved. I'm a woman who built a career without anyone's help. I'm a woman who knows her worth now. And I'm a woman who loves your son with everything I have." "He bought your companies," Mrs. Kang said. "All of them. Do you know how much money he spent stalking you?" "It wasn't stalking," Min-jun interjected. "It was protecting her." "It was obsession," his mother corrected, but her tone was softer now. "Just like his father. When a Kang man loves, he loves destructively." She looked at Amaka. "Can you handle that? My son isn't the sweet boy you knew. He's harder now, more demanding. The business has changed him." "Then it's good I'm not the scared girl he knew," Amaka said. "I'm harder too." Mrs. Kang actually smiled. "I believe you are." She set down her teacup with deliberate care. "My husband made many mistakes. He was brilliant in business, but blind in life. He thought tradition and bloodline mattered more than happiness." She looked at her son with something like regret. "He died alone, you know, surrounded by everything he'd built and nothing that mattered. His last words were that he was sorry, that he'd destroyed the one thing that made you happy." "Mother," Min-jun's voice cracked. "I won't make his mistakes," she continued. "If you love her, if she loves you, then I won't stand in your way. But Amaka Okafor, understand this. Korean society hasn't changed as much as you might hope. You'll face racism, exclusion, whispers. My friends will judge. The business community will gossip. Are you prepared for that?" "I've lived in New York as a Nigerian woman in finance," Amaka said steadily. "I've handled boardrooms full of men who didn't think I belonged. I've navigated racism in countries that weren't my own. I'm not naive about what loving Min-jun means, but I'm also not willing to give him up again because other people are uncomfortable." Mrs. Kang studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Good, because if you run away again, you'll break him beyond repair, and I won't forgive you for that." "I won't run," Amaka promised. "Then welcome to the family," Mrs. Kang said, properly this time. After they left, Min-jun pulled the car over on a quiet street and kissed Amaka breathless. "You were magnificent," he murmured against her lips. "Absolutely magnificent." "Your mother is terrifying," Amaka laughed. "She is," he agreed, "but she likes you. She never liked anyone I dated after you." The next few days were a whirlwind. Min-jun showed her his Seoul, the city transformed. They visited Kang Industries' headquarters, a gleaming tower in Gangnam where Amaka saw the empire he'd built. Employees bowed as he passed, but she noticed how he stopped to talk to the security guard, how he knew the cleaning staff's names. He hadn't become his father. He took her to the street food stalls they'd loved in university, now trendy spots featured in tourism guides. They hiked Bukhansan Mountain at dawn, watching Seoul wake up beneath them. They visited the gallery where his best friend Tae-sung had a collection displayed. "You stayed in touch?" Amaka asked, surprised to see Tae-sung, who greeted her with a warm hug. "I never stopped asking about you," Tae-sung admitted. "Min-jun was obsessed. We were worried. But now I understand." He grinned. "Welcome back, Nuna. Try not to break his heart again." But the most important visit came on their 5th day. Min-jun took her to a construction site in Gangnam where a massive building was rising from the ground. "This is the Okafor Center," he said, showing her the architectural renderings. A mixed-use development with affordable housing, a community center, and a Nigerian cultural institute. "I broke ground 6 months ago." Amaka stared at the renderings, her name emblazoned across the top. "You named it after me?" "After your family," Min-jun corrected. "I've been in contact with your father, Amaka. I've been helping fund your siblings' educations, supporting your family's businesses in Lagos. Not openly, through intermediaries, so you wouldn't know. But I couldn't just wait and do nothing. I needed to take care of the people you loved." Tears streamed down Amaka's face. "You've been taking care of my family? For how long?" 15 years, Min-jun said simply. "Since the day you left. Your father knows now. I called him last week, told him I was bringing you home. He gave me his blessing." "His blessing for what?" Amaka whispered, though her heart knew. Min-jun dropped to one knee right there on the dusty construction site, pulling out a velvet box. Inside was a ring, stunning in its simplicity. A single diamond set in Nigerian gold. 15 years ago, I asked you to marry me on Namsan Tower, he said. You said yes with a kiss, but we never got to follow through. I'm asking again, Amaka Okafor, not as a boy with dreams, but as a man who's built everything he promised. Marry me, for real this time. Be my wife. Let me spend the rest of my life proving that waiting for you was the smartest decision I ever made. Amaka couldn't breathe, couldn't think. 15 years of pain and longing and regret crystallized into this single perfect moment. Construction workers had stopped to watch, some whispering in Korean, but Min-jun's eyes never left hers. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. Min-jun surged to his feet, sliding the ring onto her finger before kissing her like he was drowning and she was air. The construction workers erupted in applause, whistles echoing across the site. When they finally broke apart, both were crying, laughing, holding onto each other like letting go would make this dream disappear. I love you, Min-jun said against her forehead. I've loved you for 15 years, Amaka, through every silent year, every failed date, every business deal that meant nothing because you weren't there to share it with. You're my home. You always have been. I love you too, Amaka said, the words feeling like liberation. I never stopped, Min-jun. I just learned to live with the pain of losing you. But I don't want to live with pain anymore. I want to live with you. That night, Min-jun threw an impromptu engagement party at an exclusive restaurant in Cheongdam-dong. His closest friends arrived, the ones who'd watched him pine for 15 years. Tae-sung gave an embarrassing speech about Min-jun's dedication that had everyone crying with laughter. Even Mrs. Kang appeared, gifting Amaka with a traditional Korean hanbok in deep purple, the color of royalty. For the traditional wedding ceremony, she said, her eyes soft, you'll need both. One Nigerian, one Korean. Our families should meet properly. I'd like that, Amaka said, hugging the older woman, feeling her stiffen, then slowly relax into the embrace. But as the celebration continued, Amaka noticed a man watching from the bar, older, distinguished, with cold eyes that made her uncomfortable. When Min-jun went to greet other guests, the man approached. So you're the Nigerian woman who brought Kang Min-jun to his knees, he said in perfect English, his smile not reaching his eyes. I'm Park Song-woo. I sit on the Kang Industries board. Nice to meet you, Amaka said politely, though warning bells rang in her head. Is it? Park's smile sharpened. Because I'm not sure this is nice for anyone involved. You see, we've been trying to arrange a merger with the Choi conglomerate for months. Chairman Choi has a daughter. Beautiful, accomplished, Korean. The marriage would secure billions in contracts. Min-jun isn't for sale, Amaka said coldly. Everything is for sale at the right price, Park countered. You learned that 15 years ago, didn't you, when Chairman Kang gave you money to leave? I was there when he wrote that check. I agreed with his decision then, and I agree with it now. You don't belong in our world. Careful. Min-jun's voice cut through the tension like a blade. He appeared at Amaka's side, his expression murderous. That's my fiancé you're insulting. And for your information, Park, the Choi merger is dead. I killed it this morning. I don't need their contracts, and I sure as hell don't need you questioning my choices. Park's face flushed red. You're making a mistake. The board won't support this. Then the board can find new employment, Min-jun said flatly. I own 60% of Kang Industries. My mother owns another 20. You need me more than I need you. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to congratulate us, leave this party, and never speak to my fiancé with anything less than complete respect again. Or I'll make it my personal mission to destroy every business venture you've ever touched. Are we clear? Park stared at him for a long moment, then nodded stiffly, muttering congratulations before disappearing into the crowd. I'm sorry, Min-jun said, pulling Amaka close. I should have warned you. Not everyone is going to be happy about us. I can handle a few bitter board members, Amaka said, though her hands were shaking. But Min-jun, I don't want to cost you your company. If this merger was important— You are more important, he interrupted fiercely. Nothing is more important than you. Not business, not money, not the approval of old men who can't see past their prejudices. I lost you once because I wasn't strong enough to fight for us. I won't make that mistake again. The next morning brought a new challenge. Amaka's phone exploded with calls from her family in Lagos. Min-jun had told her father, and apparently her father had told everyone else. Her mother was crying with joy, her siblings were screaming with excitement, her aunties had opinions about wedding planning. It was beautiful chaos. They want to meet you, Amaka told Min-jun, laughing as she read through dozens of WhatsApp messages. Like immediately. My mother is already planning to fly to Seoul. Then let's go to them, Min-jun said simply. Let's go to Lagos. I want to meet your family properly, ask your father's blessing in person, see where you grew up. I want to know everything about you, Amaka. So, 3 days later, they landed in Lagos. The heat hit Amaka like a embrace, humid and familiar and home. Min-jun stared at the chaotic traffic, the vibrant colors, the sheer energy of the city with wide eyes. It's beautiful, he breathed. It's so alive. It's overwhelming, Amaka laughed. Welcome to Lagos, baby. Try to keep up. Her family's compound in Surulere was exactly as she'd left it, only now there were new additions. A second floor on the main house, solar panels on the roof, a new car in the driveway, evidence of the money Min-jun had been quietly sending for years. Her mother, Grace Okafor, stood in the doorway in full traditional attire, her head wrap towering, her arms spread wide. My daughter has come home, and she's brought a Korean man. Jesus is Lord. The next few hours were pure chaos. Amaka's 3 siblings descended on them with questions. Her father, stern and dignified in his agbada, shook Min-jun's hand with a grip that made the younger man wince. Extended family members materialized from nowhere, filling the house with noise and laughter and judgment and love. So you're the one who's been sending money, Amaka's father, Chidi, said, pulling Min-jun aside to the veranda while the women fussed over wedding plans inside. The one who's been paying university fees and business loans and pretending it was anonymous donors? Yes, sir, Min-jun said, meeting the older man's eyes steadily. I couldn't let Amaka's family struggle when I had resources to help. You loved her that much? Chidi asked. For 15 years, without knowing if she'd ever come back? Yes, sir, Min-jun repeated. I love her more than anything. I know I'm not what you might have chosen for her. I know our cultures are different, that we'll face challenges, but I swear to you, I will spend every day making her happy. I will honor her, protect her, cherish her. I will be the husband she deserves. Chidi studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. My daughter made a hard choice 15 years ago. She chose family over love. It broke her heart, but she never complained, never stopped supporting us. She's strong, my Amaka, stronger than she knows." He gripped Min-jun's shoulder. "You have my blessing, but more importantly, you have my warning. If you break her heart again, all your money and power won't protect you from a Nigerian father's wrath." "Understood, sir," Min-jun said, relief flooding his face. "Thank you." That evening, the family held an informal gathering. Neighbors came by to meet the Korean man who'd stolen Amaka's heart. Children ran around the compound, fascinated by Min-jun's height and his attempts to speak Igbo that made everyone laugh. Amaka's mother force-fed him enough jollof rice and pounded yam to feed 3 people. "Mama, he's going to explode," Amaka protested. "Nonsense, he's too skinny. Korean men don't eat properly. We need to fatten him up," Grace declared, loading more food onto Min-jun's already overflowing plate. Min-jun caught Amaka's eye across the crowd and mouthed, "Help," making her dissolve into giggles. Later, as the party wound down, Min-jun and Amaka escaped to the roof of the house, looking out over Lagos at night. The city sprawled beneath them, lights twinkling like earthbound stars, the sounds of generators and music and life creating a symphony. "I see why you love it," he breathed. "It's got a heartbeat, like Seoul, but different somehow." "It's home," Amaka said simply, "just like Seoul became home because you were there. I think home isn't a place, Min-jun. It's people. It's you." "I want to build something here," Min-jun said suddenly. "Not just the cultural center. I want to invest in Lagos, create opportunities, help build the city you love. I want our children to feel at home in both worlds, Korean and Nigerian. They should know both halves of their heritage." Amaka's breath caught. "Children?" "Many," Min-jun said, grinning. "I'm an only child. I want chaos. I want a house full of kids who speak 3 languages and eat kimchi with jollof rice and think it's completely normal to celebrate both Chuseok and Christmas. I want everything with you, Amaka." "Then you'll have it," she promised, kissing him under the Lagos stars. "All of it. Everything." But peace never lasts long. The next morning, Amaka's phone rang with a Korean number she didn't recognize. When she answered, a woman's voice, cold and cultured, spoke in Korean-accented English. "Miss Okafor, this is Choi Min-ji. I believe you're engaged to my fiancé." Amaka's blood turned to ice. "Excuse me?" "Kang Min-jun," the woman continued, her voice dripping with condescension. "We've had an understanding since we were children. Our fathers arranged our marriage years ago. So you can imagine my surprise when I returned from studying in Paris to find him engaged to a foreigner." Amaka's blood turned to ice. "Excuse me?" "Kang Min-jun," the woman continued, her voice dripping with condescension. "We've had an understanding since we were children. Our fathers arranged our marriage years ago. So you can imagine my surprise when I returned from studying in Paris to find him engaged to a foreigner." "There must be a mistake," Amaka said, her hand gripping the phone so tight her knuckles turned white. "Min-jun never mentioned—" "Of course he didn't," Choi Min-ji laughed, cold and sharp. "Men like him don't concern themselves with details. They play with foreign girls, have their fun, but they always come back to reality, to duty, to the women who actually belong in their world." "You're lying," Amaka said, but doubt crept in like poison. Had she been a fool again? Had 15 years changed nothing? Am I? Check the Korean business news from 3 months ago. Our engagement was announced at the Choi Corporation annual gala. Ask him yourself, Miss Okafor. Ask your fiancé why he's been lying to you. The call ended. Amaka sat frozen on her parents' rooftop, the morning Lego sun suddenly too bright, too hot. Her hands shook as she searched Korean news sites on her phone. And there it was. A photo from 3 months ago. Min-jun in a tuxedo, standing next to a stunning Korean woman in a red dress. The headline read, "Kang and Choi families announce merger through marriage alliance." Her world tilted. "Amaka?" Min-jun's voice came from behind her. He'd come upstairs looking for her, and now he froze, seeing her face. "What's wrong?" She held up her phone, showing him the article. "Want to tell me about your fiancé? The one you forgot to mention?" Min-jun's face went pale, then red with anger. "That's not what it looks like." "It never is it?" Amaka laughed bitterly. "God, I'm so stupid. 15 years and I fell for the same lies. You didn't wait for me, Min-jun. You were just bored with your real life, and I was a convenient distraction." "That's not true." Min-jun grabbed her shoulders. "Amaka, listen to me. That announcement was made without my consent. My father arranged that engagement before he died. I rejected it, publicly, multiple times. Then why is Choi Min-ji calling me claiming you're hers?" "Because she's delusional." Min-jun's voice rose. "Because her father promised her something I never agreed to. Because Korean business families don't take rejection well." He pulled out his own phone, fingers flying. "Look, here's the press release I issued 2 months ago, terminating all merger talks with Choi Corporation. Here's the email where I explicitly told Chairman Choi his daughter and I would never marry. Here's—" "Stop," Amaka said, tears streaming down her face. "Just stop. I want to believe you, Min-jun. But how do I know this isn't another situation where I'm the secret and she's the plan? How do I know I won't get another check and a goodbye?" Min-jun looked like she'd stabbed him. "Because I'm not my father. Because I've spent 15 years proving I'm not him." His voice broke. "Because I love you, Amaka. Only you. Always you." "Love isn't enough," Amaka whispered. "We learned that 15 years ago." "Then what is enough?" Min-jun demanded, his voice raw with desperation. "What do I have to do to prove you can trust me? I've waited 15 years. I've supported your family. I've killed business deals. I've named buildings after you. I've gotten on my knees and begged you to marry me. What more can I do?" Before Amaka could answer, her mother appeared on the roof. "There are Korean people here," Grace announced, her face concerned. "Very angry Korean people demanding to see Min-jun." They rushed downstairs to find Chairman Choi, Park Song-woo, and Choi Min-ji standing in the Okafor family compound, looking wildly out of place in their expensive suits and designer dresses amid the organized chaos of a Lagos neighborhood. "How dare you run away to Africa?" Chairman Choi spat at Min-jun in Korean before switching to English. "You've humiliated my daughter, humiliated my family. This engagement has been arranged for years." "And I've rejected it for years," Min-jun said coldly, positioning himself between the visitors and Amaka. "You don't own me, Chairman Choi. My father's debts died with him." "Your father promised," Choi Min-ji cried, her perfect composure cracking. "You were supposed to be mine, not hers." She glared at Amaka with pure venom. "She's nothing, a Nigerian nobody who got lucky." "Excuse me?" Grace Okafor's voice cut through the tension like a machete. "You come to my home and insult my daughter? This Nigerian nobody you're dismissing built a career through her own brilliance. She didn't need family money or arranged marriages. She earned everything herself." "Mama," Amaka started. "No," Grace interrupted, drawing herself up to her full height, every inch the Nigerian matriarch. "This Korean girl comes here with her father and insults my child in my own house? I don't think so." She turned to Min-jun. "And you? You love my daughter?" "More than my own life," Min-jun said without hesitation. "Then prove it," Grace demanded. "Not with money, not with buildings, with action. Right now." Min-jun turned to face Chairman Choi. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of a man who'd built an empire. "You want the truth? Here it is. I was engaged to your daughter for approximately 6 hours before I terminated it. My father announced it without my knowledge while I was in New York finding Amaka. The moment I returned to Korea, I killed the engagement, the merger, everything. I don't love your daughter. I never have. I never will." He turned to Min-ji. "I'm sorry if you were hurt, but we've never even dated. Our fathers created a fantasy that was never real. You deserve someone who actually wants to marry you, not someone who spent 15 years loving someone else." "But the merger," Chairman Choi sputtered.
"Is dead," Min-jun said flatly. "I don't need your money. I don't need your connections. I don't need anything except her." He pointed at Amaka. "That woman is my past, my present, and my future. And if that means burning bridges with every business family in Korea, so be it. I choose her. I will always choose her." He turned to Park Sang-woo. "You said everything has a price. You were wrong. She doesn't. She never did. And any board member who can't accept that can tender their resignation Monday morning. I'm done compromising. I'm done being diplomatic. Amaka Okafor is going to be my wife, and anyone who disrespects her disrespects me." Then he did something that made the entire compound go silent. He dropped to his knees in the dusty yard, in front of everyone, in front of the Korean executives who'd flown to Lagos to stop him, in front of Amaka's entire extended family who'd gathered to see the commotion. "Amaka," he said, his voice carrying across the yard, "I kneel before you, before your family, before God and everyone here. I'm not my father. I'm not a man who makes promises and breaks them. I'm not a man who lets the woman he loves walk away because it's easier. I'm a man who waited 15 years and would wait 15 more if that's what it took. You want proof? Here it is." He pulled out his phone, made a call, and spoke rapid Korean. Then he switched to English. "I just sold my controlling shares in Kang Industries to my mother. As of this moment, I'm no longer CEO, no longer bound by board demands or business politics. I'm just a man who loves you. I'll move to Lagos if that's what you want. I'll learn Igbo. I'll eat jollof rice every day. I'll give up everything except you. Because nothing else matters, Amaka. Just you." The compound was silent. Choi Min-ji looked stunned. Chairman Choi's face was purple with rage. Park Sang-woo stood frozen. and Amaka's family watched with wide eyes. "You sold your company?" Amaka whispered. "To be free to love you without compromise," Min-jun said simply. "To prove that you're not a choice I'm making despite my responsibilities. You are my responsibility, my priority, my everything." Amaka looked at this man kneeling in the dust of her childhood home. This man who'd waited 15 years. This man who'd just given up everything he'd built to prove he meant his words. And she realized something. Love wasn't just emotion. It was action. It was sacrifice. It was choosing someone every single day, even when it was hard. She pulled him to his feet. "You're an idiot," she said through her tears. "A beautiful, ridiculous, perfect idiot." "Is that a yes?" Min-jun asked, hope blazing in his eyes. "It's always yes," Amaka said. "From the moment you crashed into me 15 years ago, it's always you, Min-jun. I was just too scared to believe it could be real, but I'm not scared anymore." She turned to the Korean visitors. "You came all this way to stop a wedding, but you're going to witness one instead. Min-jun and I are getting married, today, right here, with my family as witnesses, and then we're flying back to Seoul and having another ceremony there. 2 cultures, 2 families, 1 love." "You can't be serious," Choi Min-ji gasped. "Try me," Amaka said. Then she turned to her mother. "Mama, call the pastor. We're having a wedding." Grace Okafor's face split into the widest smile. "Now that's my daughter. Someone get my good rapper. We're having a wedding." What followed was pure, beautiful chaos. Within hours, Amaka's mother had mobilized half of Surulere. A pastor appeared, traditional musicians materialized, neighbors brought food, someone found flowers. Amaka's cousins dressed her in a hastily borrowed coral-beaded traditional Nigerian wedding dress, while Min-jun, looking slightly shell-shocked but deliriously happy, was wrapped in agbada by Amaka's father and brothers. The ceremony happened in the compound at sunset, with the entire neighborhood as witnesses. When the pastor asked if anyone objected, the Korean visitors stayed silent, defeated. Min-jun's vows were in broken Igbo that made everyone cry with laughter and emotion. Amaka's were in broken Korean that Min-jun wept openly. "I now pronounce you husband and wife," the pastor declared. "Young man, you may kiss your bride." Min-jun kissed Amaka like a man who'd waited 15 years for this moment, because he had. Around them, drums began to play, voices rose in celebration, and 2 worlds collided in the most beautiful way possible. 3 months later, they had the traditional Korean ceremony at the Shilla Hotel in Seoul, with Mrs. Kang beaming and both families united. 6 months after that, Amaka found out she was pregnant. A year later, they welcomed twin girls, Grace Min-ji and Ada Yun, named after both grandmothers, equally beautiful in both their heritages. Min-jun went back to Kang Industries eventually, but on his own terms, with Amaka as his partner in every sense. They split their time between Seoul and Lagos, building bridges between 2 worlds, proving that love doesn't have borders. And on their 15th wedding anniversary, standing on Namsan Tower where it all began, Amaka turned to her husband and said, "Was it worth the wait?" Min-jun pulled her close, their daughters playing nearby, Seoul and Lagos both in their hearts. Every single second. If this story destroyed you in the best possible way, smash that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me, would you have forgiven Min-jun after the Choi Min-ji revelation, or was Amaka too quick to trust again? Team Love conquers all, or Team Be cautious? Subscribe for more stories that will make you believe in second chances, in patience, in loves that survive 15 years of separation. Hit that notification bell because our next story is going to be wild. Thank you for watching, and remember, the right love is worth waiting for, worth fighting for, and worth choosing every single day. See you in the next one.